Welcome back for a new top 5 list. Been a while since I've done one of these. This time we are looking at, in my perspective anyways, 5 criminally underrated fighting games. This includes multiple generations, also no honorable mentions this time, and I will be doing a second one of these, as there's plenty enough material. But I want to make even more specific. This is, in my opinion, 5 criminally underrated 3D fighting games. In general, I think the genre of 3D fighters is somewhat underrated. With that said, first up, coming in at number 5, in my opinion, of criminally underrated fighting games. Some people may agree or disagree, it's fine. But for me, coming at number 5 is none other than Dead or Alive 4. This game has pretty much by most people been slept over. I don't know why. I'm not sure why so many people don't even talk about this game, as from a difficulty standpoint, I think that's one of the big things for people that didn't like this game specifically as much because of its high difficulty curve. Because it was higher than most of the other DOA games, by far. And the nightmare that is Alpha 152 as the final big boss of the game. Of course, also continue on the trends from the previous games with Aerosmith music. But with that said, in my opinion, this is number 5 of criminally underrated 3D fighting games. It is probably easily in the top 2 most overlooked DOA games. Most people usually always talk about either DOA 2, DOA 3, or DOA 5, and that's about it. But for me, this one is underrated. It was one of the best 3D fighting experiences on the 360 by a landslide. Coming in next at number 4, I'm curious people's response to this. It is easily the black sheep of the family. That is Tekken 4. Tekken 4 is a game that I love a lot, way more than some people. I know there's a lot of people who have a hate on for this game specifically, though it would actually start many things like interactive environments up till now were, and this was truly the first true 100% full 3D game in the franchise. The others, yeah, you could do side steps up through Tekken Tag Tournament 1, but you couldn't truly move around the environment completely free. That's where this game excelled. Plus, also, I think the soundtrack is underrated. It has some legit great music. Yes, I'll admit the big thing in the room mentioned. Yes, arguably Jin is the most broken character in this game. There were never any balances, but I'm fine with that. Also, I want to state, in my opinion, this game had the best version of Tekken Force mode. People can argue all they want, but I will die on this hill defending this game. In my opinion, it is in my top 3 favorite Tekken games of all time. And I definitely feel it is a criminally underrated 3D fighter. It is easily the most underrated Tekken game of all time. It deserves way more love than it got, and it was very revolutionary in many areas, besides full movie around the environment, and also actually be able to interact with stuff behind you, like knocking and destroying the like payphones in Shinjuku and everything else. Plus, it was nice having as the main boss again, Heihachi. And all around, it felt more grounded, at least a bit more realistic in reality, like the very beginning Tekken, and more like Virtual Fighter in that aspect. And I loved overall, I thought the story was actually really good in Tekken 4. Coming in at third place is a game I talk about quite often when I say criminally underrated and you hear music in the background from the aquarium. For me, coming at number 3 is Bloody Roar Primal Fury. It is arguably one of the most underrated, I think one of the more underrated GameCube games, and easily, in general, the Bloody Roar series as a whole is maybe about the most underrated 3D fighting series of all time. And even the very first game, Bloody Roar 1 on PS1, was pretty underrated, but was revolutionary. In general, as gameplay perspective goes, Bloody Roar series has always excelled in the combat mechanics. The transformations also helped gave it its own very unique, distinctive flair, and I love how they would have both rock but also sometimes merge in jazz and stuff with the rock. Just made great, and I love the character designs. In the series as a whole, Bloody Roar Primal Fury, also known as Bloody Roar Extreme on Xbox, in my opinion, this is, at least for me, my second favorite of the Bloody Roar series, but this game deserves way more love and recognition than it gets. When it comes to combat and stuff, easily, in my opinion, Bloody Roar Primal Fury is neck and neck as the best fighting game on the GameCube, with Soul Calibur 2. But with that said, it is definitely underrated. If you ever get a chance to try any of the Bloody Roar games out, definitely try Extreme or Primal Fury version. Seriously. Graphically, I actually think it still looks pretty decent for the early 2000s. Also, the soundtrack is awesome. Coming in at number 4 is a game that, or rather at number 2, is a game that I think some people are finally starting to acknowledge is criminally underrated. This is a game I have been championing and talking about for almost a decade now on YouTube. Really, I have been pushing for this game for a long time, as it was so unique and different at a time, as it was full move around, be able to maneuver environments, the ability to be able to use different magic abilities. You had a total of 12 characters, you even had a full story mode, which is just awesome. The fact you have a full 3D environment, and the fact this came out in like 1998 on the PS1 is crazy. Because the game may not be a looker, but I will say from a gameplay perspective, this game was truly ahead of its time. Way more than many others. I do appreciate the fact in recent years Maximilian Dude did a video on this, as this is a game that deserves more recognition than it gets. And yeah, in my opinion, it is one of the most overlooked and underrated early 3D fighters, and the fact it has actually aged very well in the gameplay in rather perspective. It has aged way better than many other fighting games of this time period. Coming at number 1, mostly no one talks about because of the controversy of a specific piece that was added to background music for one of the stages, and then Microsoft was afraid of, I guess, backlash from a specific community, which I am not going to mention, because I know how the community can react at times. So with that said, as a whole, I think more people need to give this game a shot. The fact you can buy it dirt cheap anywhere, like eBay, no matter what. Definitely give this game a shot. It is actually, I think, gameplay-wise, very good, and the environments actually look pretty good for the time, and have aged relatively well. The character designs, maybe not, but gameplay is actually solid. And it really, if you like virtual fighting games like that, this is a game I highly recommend checking out. But for me, this is number 1 most criminally underrated 3D fighter. Leave a comment and tell me your thoughts and what you think is underrated. With that said, I'll see y'all next time.